Welcome to Pursuing Joy, where we discuss audacious stories of joy-infused strength. Emily, if you could introduce yourself and what you've been up to, who you are, and we'll just unravel from there.
Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Elrod, and first I got to say thank you for having me on, Julie. Like, I'm excited for this conversation. But a little bit about me is I say I'm a Southern girl. You got it from the accent. But I own a business. I have beautiful children. There's so many complexities. I'm just a nerd that loves to have fun, that learns about humans and really studies why humans do what they do in a nutshell. And I've had my company for 7 years, and we do performance coaching and consulting.
All right. Okay. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but you're now also an author, and I would encourage you to continue to be
Mhm.
an author. I know you were kind of hesitant on whether you would continue, like, would there be another one?
Mhm.
But I definitely, I think you should. So we will go into the business aspect first. So, okay, actually, let let's say a little bit of your background that got you started towards this type of entrepreneurial journey, like your
Oh,
education and things like that.
there's so much in the background. So my father invented a lot of the things that made carpet. And so in the engineering process, and I actually followed in his footsteps and did not get the degree in engineering, but I got the life experience in engineering. And even in like five, six, seven, we were actually in the shop working. And then by age 14, 15, 16, I learned AutoCAD and just kept growing with it, and then built out some of the machinery for the carpet industry. And I was really following in his footsteps. However, I had a degree in exercise and health science, I had a bachelor's, but with a concentration in physiology. Physiology is just the nerdy way of saying the engineering of the body. And I
Okay.
loved it. And then I went on and got my master's. But I was still doing, now I could do ergonomic engineering and I could design the machinery with the human body in mind. But my father is one of the greatest men on this world, like on this planet. Like, I adore him. He came to me one day and he's like, Emily, you're really good at what you do, but you don't love it. You're doing it for me. And so he, in essence, he had to fire me because he knew I was not going to leave because I was too loyal to him. He's like, no, I'm good. I can stay here. Um, but he's like, go do what you love, Emily, go pursue it. And so that is how I stepped out. I took a secretary job with a master's degree to work my way up into the consulting world. I helped a healthcare system rehaul and do and actually start from scratch a wellness program. It went so well that we actually brought in a Fortune 500 company, and also it went so well that I got named top 10 in the nation in well-being wellness practitioner. So that just kept growing, and then I'm a person of faith, and so I'm big on my faith, and I was very frustrated during that season after doing all this work and whatnot. And I had it where I was crushing it in life, like in total, like in life, it was going very good. And I had saved the company a lot of money that I was working for. And I asked just for a raise. I was like, can I just, and they're like, because I was making around like 40K, but I had saved them like 4 million.
Okay.
And so I was like, can I just get like I'm not trying to be greedy, but just a little bit. And this isn't like, how people say savings and it's fluff. Like, no, this is actual money. Like, I'm like,
Right.
can
You're
we?
you're increasing their revenue.
Yeah, I'm
Therefore,
like, "Hey, can we do something with this?" And they're like, well, we've never had a structure like this. We would have to do it different for you. And it was just like closed door after closed door. And I was like, God, why? Like, he gave me the word patience. I hated when he gave me that stinking word. And then finally I got the word go. And I was like, and I know that your audience doesn't know me well, but if you ever get a sense of me, like, I have a lot of energy, and when I get the word go, that means like, let's go, like, it's on.
right.
And so I knew I had to be strategic with it and wise with it. So I ended up just showing all the work that I'd done. And then I had went to the CEO and COO, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to start my own company. Like, I want you to be my first client, and I also want to take that Fortune 500 with me." And they're like, "You're going to do great, Emily." Like, I remember that to the day. Like, you're going to do amazing. Like, it's going to, like, go, just go, Emily. I can't wait to see you thrive. And I'm like, who gets this type of start? And then from there, so I've had my business since then for 7 years, and it's called Workzbe. I always say if you cannot say it correctly, you can blame my then 8-year-old at the time, because we were actually sitting on the back porch and having a conversation, and even though I was crushing it in the world and by every standard, he's like, "Mama, what if you could be a human being instead of a human always working?" I'm like, "Dang it, child! Like, seriously, that's what you got to ask me?" But it was the most reflective, the most beautiful question, and that's actually why we have work speed, because it's work. Then there's a Z with arrows going both
Mhm.
ways, and B. So we take human workers and teach them how to be human beings, but in that space, we teach them also the alignment and purpose for the work that they are more meant to do, instead of just a lot of people just are comfortable and just do what they're told. And
Mhm.
I want people to understand their design, their human physiology, and also their design.
Yes. Okay. All right. So in the I love how the book weaves this with the personal and all of that. So
Mhm.
give let's go with some inspiration for
Mhm.
those starting out like myself on a
Mhm.
entrepreneurial journey and kind of the ups and downs of starting that, getting your clientele, ebbs and flows with that clientele, that kind of journey that you.
Yeah, and I think we interweaves within the book that I wrote. And I joke about the book and how we said in the beginning, I didn't want to be an author because I have dyslexia, and I was like arguing, and I won't even read my own book. Like, I've told everybody this, like I put it on Audible and I have it on my accessibility reader, like, but I will never read my own
Oh,
book.
right. Oh, okay.
So, but the things that come within it, and this is what I do write about a lot, in there, is just like, if you're getting started, first make sure it's an alignment. I don't know how to do it without God. I'm just going to be honest, flat out. Like, that was something, and I also come from a long line of entrepreneurs, so the work is hard. It is like having a child. Like,
Mhm,
and it's a baby, and you have to nurture it and you have to care for it. Because I actually write about this in the book. Like, the first what, 6 7 months, I was making like six figures right away, and I was like, shoot, yeah, let's go. And then little hiccups came along the way, and then another little hiccup and another little hiccup. And it's just, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you better have grit like nobody else's,
mhm.
and you better have the discipline for it to execute with excellence. Because I kind of get frustrated with a lot of people who are like, go start a business, go start a business. Business is not for everybody. If you do not like risk, if you do not have me, it's like, my faith is in, and I write about it in the book too. One of the things that I'll say is, like, in one of the chapters, I write on where I had gotten the big Fortune 500, my contracts were going, and then all of a sudden, on a LinkedIn message,
Mhm.
my whole entire contract was just killed. And this is after I'd hired 10 people for it. And so it's like, what? And you'll hear this feast or famine thing, but and this was right before COVID, so as well. And we know what happened in March of 2020.
Mhm.
And it was just a frustrating time. And what I also wrote in the book at that time, like, I could have been very bitter. I could have blasted them out, and I could have had said all these things. But what I didn't know is somebody else on LinkedIn was watching me and wanted to do work with me and reached out. If I had another disposition of towards of being that bitterness and like, I'll show you, I don't think that I would have gotten that next client to help me through. But however, with all this, I still had employees I needed to have. Like, I needed to pay for. I was like scrambling, like, I don't know what to do. And I remember there's this amazing, beautiful human I love dearly. Her name is Tangela Johnson. And she messaged me and she's like, "Hey, I need to do work. I need you to come do work for me." And I'm like, "I can't do work for you. Like, you're like up here. There's no comparison." And she's like, "I got work for you." And then what she did is she actually gave me a check. And she's like, I was like, "Actually, I needed you to come here because here's a check. God told me to give you this, and I'm going to continue to give it to you until he tells me to stop." And that's the things that I say. I don't know how you do it without faith. Because
Right.
for me, like faith stories, there's so many faith stories I write in there.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that you can, but the peace and the strength, like I don't care about, like, I don't worry about money. Like last week, one of my major clients, it was a hot mess and how it ended, but I actually am at so much peace at that because and how it was time. It was totally time
Right.
for it to end. However, with that, like just it was the money that was really the thing. I was like, man, this sucks. Like I'm gonna have to, and like as you grow, like you also can revert back to year one. Like you revert back to some of that scarcity stuff. But you have to keep those reminders in front of you. Like, oh no, for me, God provided then,
Right.
he's gonna provide again. Like joy comes in the morning. Like there is certain little things that remind me to keep stepping out, but I don't do it with ignorance. That is one thing. A lot of people is like, I'm just gonna like spend willy-nilly here. You
Right.
can't do it with ignorance.
It's
You
a
have to.
partnership with faith, I think is it.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
action. You have to, and that's what I say, knowledge is not power. I say knowledge and action is, and that's called wisdom.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Okay. So, tell me, because there's coaches out there, there's team building people, but there's a difference in what you offer. So walk me through a little bit of what a team building activity, or if someone were to hire you, what that looks like and why your approach is different.
So ours comes through the lens of well-being. It's really that human-centered design. And so the thing that we have is called a WISE assessment. And this looks at wellness, intelligence, safety, and empowerment. So wellness is how, think sleep, food, mood, and movement. Do you have the energy to actually like show up to work? This can like reveal out like burnout and other areas. Intelligence, what I found is it's a two-part. It's emotional intelligence and process intelligence. Emotional intelligence, can you read the room? Can you have conversations? Can you tell whenever certain employees are not feeling heard, valued, or seen? Versus process intelligence, which is some of my very happy space within the work that I used to do. I say it's like insanity curses, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So many times people are just stuck in habit loops and they don't know how to get out of it. And we come and help little tweaks along the way. But to have that, we also have to have the S in the Y's, which is safety. We got to make sure that we can feel safe to speak up, which is a part of psychological safety, but also high performer safety is within themselves because nobody can beat a high performer up more like themselves.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so making sure that they can sit with themselves and whenever they step back, are they going in and beating themselves up? Or can we see this as like learning and growing? And then empowerment, that's with purpose and passion, but also alignment along the way. And all this is like nerdily mixed up with like the amygdala insula and all these other happy things that I love to talk about, which is like I go really deep in the book to have some nerdy stuff on it. But it's based on human design. So everybody's like, this sounds fluffy. I'm like, no, it's actually sciencey.
Right. Yes.
um, and so we do that based on where the people are at during that time. So we based on their past 30 days, and we really help within a strategy and helping people get more of a transformation and to get new habit patterns so that they can get from that unstuck or they can go from that stressed to the next level of where we want them to have that happy, healthy, and high performing life.
Okay. So how long are you with a client?
So it depends. Most of them, if it is coaching one on one, we have like intensives and stuff. So that's usually 6 to 8 months. What there's actually a fascinating study that says that if you want to have a habit, create one. It takes 108 days, and that's if you do it in the morning and you like it, because it.
Okay.
So this 30-day thing doesn't really work out. And if you want to break another habit, an old habit, it's about 66 days. So there's our goal is to be with you long enough to help you create concrete habits that can make them more life impacting. We're not the check a box style. I know that there's some people like I can come in and I can make you feel good, give you a little dopamine, happy, woohoo, and you're gonna do good for like 2 or 3 weeks. But I want to teach people discipline. So whenever the feeling is absent, you still can go forward and conquer. And like you said, with entrepreneurship, like, and there are days everybody's like, if you love it every day, like, or you never have to work if you, whatever that saying is.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You
You're not
never work a
working.
day in your life if you, yeah.
Look.
And I'm like, no, like this stuff, there's days it's crushing, it's soul crushing. It can even be like the work I am in. I'm hearing a lot about suicidal ideations, and I'm just like, and
Mhm.
these are the top people in the nation and even in the world. I'm just like, y'all, like, I just want to hug you and like, I'm
Mhm.
here for you. But there's things that they have to work through their habits. They have to work through and then also get with a good counselor, get through. There's different ways that are impacting this. Um, so that's what's coming to my mind. Uh, yeah.
When does someone? What makes a client? What is their pain? What are they seeing or feeling that says I need to reach out to Emily?
It depends. Usually within the WISE assessment, it's that they're feeling stuck or that they know that they're not on the right path. Like they knew that they want to see and figure out something differently. Or it's within teams. I always say, give me your worst team, like your quote unquote worst team. Because I usually typically find $1 million savings. Like it's just not that hard, especially if it's a larger team. And I'll also usually help them to get to the one of the top performing teams, and it's just because people are not in their design. Like if you're
Right.
feeling like something's off and you just want to get to the next level, that's why people reach out to us. And if they care about wellness, that is the other thing, is that's where we lens through. If you want to actually have, I don't know if work life balance is, but they want to have synergy, that they
Yeah.
show up at home, work, and play, and they can be themselves everywhere, because your physiology doesn't know the difference.
Right.
It
Right.
has
Yeah.
no clue on it.
Okay. Yeah. And we're gonna go. We're gonna dive
Mhm.
into that in a little bit for sure because I you've opened my eyes to something. Anytime you and just there's things that are happening that people just don't have language or vocabulary for, right?
Mhm.
And so there's like I sense this, but it's not real until you actually like have language for it, and you can't change those habits or any of that without
Mhm.
like naming the
Mhm.
thing. So okay, so I work. So you were talking about. Okay, hold on. I'm told you I'm way too excited about all of this. Okay, so most businesses are going to throw process or people, new people into the mix and try to fix the problem there, right? And so I think it's recent. At least I'm getting exposed more to the more vulnerable, authentic type
Mhm.
leadership style, and it, like you said, it can be viewed as fluffy, but it
Mhm.
also ends in results, right? And once you
Mhm.
accept that, and so I know you have Working Genius tied into your business now, and
Mhm.
so Working Genius for me, joy was a fluffy
Mhm.
concept. I was like, whatever. As a single mom, like I just need to keep things going. It doesn't matter if I like what I do. I just need to be financially stable. But then once I realized that joy equals productivity,
Mhm.
then all these light bulbs went on and I couldn't unknow like what I know now. Like it's real. So if it's real, then I need to go in that trajectory. What are your geniuses, by the way?
What is it? She told me it the other day. I am the discernment, and I am tenacity.
Okay. Okay. I could see that. I would have to think your galvanizing has to be one of your competencies.
It's actually not. I can't stand it, but I've learned how to do it.
Really?
Yeah. It's fascinating because, but it's all science based. So I'll nerd out on that one because I know the discernment aspect of it is, and then it goes with the tenacity that I know the human body very well. And I also know when motivation ebbs and flows. So I have something called love nudges that I have coded in into all my products to make sure it hits at the time that our bodies are most likely going to pop off of a goal, or the time that they're most likely going to fall through. Like I have processes around the way so that I perceive out to be more galvanizing than I actually am.
Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to dive deeper into that because, yeah, I would have said like your energy and you were an actual cheerleader. So,
Yes.
like, galvanizing. But I see, I can see what you're saying. Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
But you talk about joy too. We actually, in our WISE assessment, we have something called WISE traits, and we look at joy. We look at joy, rumination. We look at people pleasing, risk, challenger, and one more, and I should know it, but I'm forgetting it right now. But we look at those because joy is oxytocin in the body. And oxytocin is what we call the loving grandmother. But it's so beautiful in that it is the oxytocin and serotonin, which we call the safety cop of the body. If you have joy and safety, you actually have the most high performing team, which is also shown out in some of the Amy Edison's work, but Google
Mhm.
Aristotle did some work on it. There's a project on that one. But the most high performing teams have this psychological safety that they can speak up without feeling retribution. And then they have joy in the work that they do. There's alignment, there's purpose, there's passion with it. And so joy, what I say, it's not fluff, it's actually science, and it's
Right.
oxytocin for it. And if you do not have that, what you're talking about, we call it command and control, is the old leadership style. The new one's care connect.
Okay.
It takes more effort. It takes so much effort because of humans. Humans have to understand humans, and many of them don't know about the insula, the amygdala, like oxytocin, cortisol, serotonin, like those it. And it's like, for me, it's like, if you know a car, like, you know that there's like the steering wheel, like, you know the gas pedal, you know the brake,
Mhm.
you know the tire pressure, you know the oil, you know where to check. And that's kind of like my goal, is to come in and teach people like the human body, and like, how does it work, how is it triggered, how is it that if somebody has like status is one of their like threat signals that pops up on their proverbial dash, how do they act on it? Because if status is there, they're going to keep trying to climb over people, and passive aggressiveness
All
can
right.
happen. There's so many different ways that people can act out based on how they've either grown up or what they are
Right.
desiring in life.
And it doesn't feel as efficient to get to
Mm-mm.
know those things about people. And for so long, people have always segmented,
Mhm.
their lives, right? But
Yep.
more and more, especially as we're, working from home, those things are intersecting. I mean, they were
Yeah.
already,
Oh yeah.
but I think it's more obvious. And so, yeah, it's not as, it doesn't seem as efficient, but if you actually start there, right, the efficiency picks
Well,
up.
here's the funny part is I love efficiency. It's my happy place. It's where I live, I thrive. That's also why I created the WISE assessment. It was like my cheat code to like skipping 3 months or 4 months of getting to know an individual. And I could just ask these questions in one assessment and then give it out. And so
Okay.
that's the beauty of it, is getting to understand like what triggers them, what gets them going, what, like where they are at, if they're even able to hear. Because if you're in a high stress environment, doesn't matter. Like I could say like the most beautiful things in the world, but your learning centers are literally shut off because all you're thinking about is, like, writing my book, like going through the hell of my divorce, that then the depth that I was in some of it. Like this brain shut off. Like I was trying my best to do But I literally, one of my coworkers, I'm like, you're my brain for me. I'm like, you have to be my brain for me because I can't. And she was, and she's so beautiful. Her name's Bonnie. She's one of the most beautiful humans inside and out. And she just, if it was not for her, like, I don't even know if Workzbe would still be
Right.
here because she took over and she was my other half of my brain and she'd ask questions. She's like, okay, Emily, we got this. Um,
Yeah.
so,
I think that those stressful times that you're talking about, it's kind of like that zombie mode. It's I feel like it's kind of like pregnancy brain, or like that first 6 to 8 weeks when you have a newborn and you're
oh, yeah.
really just doing things,
Mhm.
and then a year later you can't even remember that like whole time period.
No. If it wasn't for me journaling, I would not remember half it. Or let's be real, if it was not me documenting for court, I do not remember
Right, right. Oh yeah, no, because that was a lot. That was a lot.
that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and segue into that. Okay, so not only is your business like a different approach to
Mhm,
teams and coaching, but this book, I haven't encountered anything like it, um and I listened to it on I listened to it, because
mhm,
that it was better for me to just be in my car and listening to it to make sure I got through it for to talk to you
mhm,
today. But I typically recommend Audible,
mhm,
because I do like the tone and the inflection in the voice, but I almost would say both with this, because it is very easy when you're listening to the stuff at the end of each chapter to not
mhm,
engage, right? So I
mhm.
think that the paper creates the engagement of taking the time to listen and notate, because I think that is a huge benefit of the book. So go ahead and kind of explain what you did. What you
Yeah.
did there, how you
What I
mapped
did,
the book out.
start with what I didn't want to do is write a book.
Right.
That's how I start out the book too. And it's like, Um, so it's Bitter to Better, and it's the neuroscience or grit, grace, and the neuroscience of not giving up. And so what I go into is just my story of what I'm learning is I have a lot of chapters, and I kept joking with God throughout this. I'm like, I don't want another chapter, God. Like, this is why I joke, why I don't want to write another book. But I already, let's be real, I already have another book coming, and I already know what it is on. Um,
Okay.
and I already have the title, and I'm like, oh, seriously, we got to find the chapters for it. But it's just my life, like starting out with what I talk about is that I was um, I was the cheerleader, I was teaching Bible study, I was in the South, and then I found myself pregnant out of wedlock. And so all that leads to is a trifecta of shame city. And then just learning through that time of that hard time of what was happening in my body. And within just that starting of that story is just that, and along the way, but I did not want to be pregnant. It was either I was told I had brain cancer, ovarian cancer. I was pregnant, but I was told I could never have kids. So I was like, okay, I have cancer. Like, I'm good. Like, I know how to fight this. Like, this is my mindset at this time. Like,
Right.
I
That's
got this
right.
one.
Right.
Let's go. Like, research is happening. And then they said I was pregnant, and I lost it. Like, lost it. Like 21, like lost it. And the Southernism is totally coming out on that one. But I did. And I just was so like devastated by it. And then because I thought it was going to ruin my life, I was going to be a doctor. I had like all these plans out, and I hid. I just really nobody knew I was pregnant until about 7 months because I hid it so well. And then I went into I was finishing up my senior year at Kennesaw State, and in that year we had to learn about body fat percentages, and then and we had to do like bod testing, all these testing, and then it's like I'm tripling in size, and so they're like, "You're pregnant," and I had to tell them, they're like, "You're pregnant?" "Yes, you're pregnant," and I'm like, "Oh gosh, y'all," and so but they were so excited, all because now they had a guinea pig that they got to really measure like the growth of humans, but also from the other aspect of it, they were very excited for me. But yeah, I still couldn't be for myself. And even in like that shame city, I went to my preacher, I went to other areas, and I had some church hurt along the way. Read the book on that one.
Yeah, no, you got yeah, that you got to but so you the story is incredible in and of itself. But let's
Mhm.
break down what you do at the end of
Yeah.
each chapter.
So each one of I tell a story. I go through a season of my life, and we start from that 21 out of wedlock, and then I go through work, a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. I go through learning about the brain, and all the stories, and I also do talk about my divorce and learning a life after that. But each section, kind of actually started with it's a heart, head, hands model. So
Okay.
the heart is the story. It's the heart of the story. You listen to the story, and then there's reflection questions. And then from there, we do a exercise, bitter to better exercise, because for me, knowledge is not power. Knowledge and action is. And then after that, I get nerdy, my happy place all day on what happened in my body. What is shame in the body? Like, how's it impacting cortisol, dopamine, insula? Like, how is it impacting these certain aspects of our actual physiological design? And so I talk about the nerdiness into it. So
Yes. And I
that's
mean, I that to me is uh uh I don't even know the best part.
mhm,
It's the and I knew okay, I won't say I knew some of those terms,
mhm,
but it it just creates a whole different way of looking at your situation and knowing that you personally know those things
mhm,
and still like they were happening, right? Like even
mhm.
though you can name like you still get to
Uh-uh.
experience the thing, right? It's not like you because you're so smart, you're gonna get out of the emotional,
Nope.
side of that. So because sometimes it just is you just gotta feel the stuff, right?
Yeah,
And
and I always joke. I was like, "This is so cool if it wasn't my story." Like, I say that
right.
all the time. I was like, "Man, this is fascinating from a human perspective, but dang it."
Yes.
It's
Yes.
happened to me in the moment.
Right. So it's yes. So and I mean the fact that you are so transparent in there. I mean even I mean there's some things that you said in there that I am like, okay, that is true of me
Mhm.
and you will only see that in my journal. Like
Ah.
you will not be hearing me saying that on print that's going to go out to all the people. So I mean that had to take a lot of courage and just but also just showing your own self-awareness and allowing other people to admit these things as well. And I'm not talking about like atrocious. I'm talking about like what you were thinking, what was going on in your mind,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the back part of that, which all of us I'm sure have experienced. I'll tell
Yeah.
you afterwards what my because my daughter's an artist, and I was like, Emily is looking for a cover. But I'll tell you afterwards what she wants to put at the cover, which wouldn't work.
And as vulnerable as I am. But here's the thing, how did it get here? It didn't happen in a day. It actually took from I've been telling my story about Shame City for the longest because it's actually how I got into my work. A lot of it too is like understanding and my love, like my double downing on loving for the physiological design is like trying to figure out because I about died having my child
Mhm.
because of the shame. So I don't know what contractions are, but I know what liver swelling, breaking ribs is, and I want to tell you, it ain't fun, and it's the worst. Like I wish I was dead, like at that time.
Mhm.
And rightfully so, because it was that, like, my body was technically dying. Um, but I've been on stages telling my story just little at a time, little at a time, and learning how it's impacting others. So that's my challenge to anybody that like is listening to this is if you have a story, I think staying silent for so many is just like it feels like a safety net, but you
Mhm.
may be foregoing the blessings that you may and the lessons to others. And that's what actually somebody said this to the other day. And I guess this is what I hope it comes out to many people. It's they're like, it wasn't just a story, it was a gift. And I believe that God gifted me with these stories and these life lessons so that I can have, there's this thing where you can be a what is it, reservoir or conduit. But basically, you can hold in the lessons or you can like spread them out. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I didn't get these for no reason. Like, they got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And so just encouraging, just like, just tell your story. Start small.
Mhm.
And here's the thing, I can never tell my story around my family. I had to start on big on stages before I could really like start saying it around my family because I cared what they thought too much. Where if I was
Right.
on a
No, okay, that
stage,
makes sense.
if I was on a stage, like I'm only see you once, and I can like pour out my heart and I can give it there. Where if I got to see you in every day, it's kind of hard.
Right.
So now my of course my family, they know the stories, they know the book and whatnot, and so they're like they're very excited for me as well.
Yeah.
But I just think that when if you have a lot of emotionality with somebody or know them very well, it's kind of hard to actually
Yeah.
start that direction if the psychological safety is not there.
Right. No, and I mean, I know sometimes it's hard for me to talk to somebody else just because of the lack of the people in your people are emotionally invested. And
Hmm.
so not only are you like carrying your burden, but then you're like, oh, now my hurt is hurting them.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, yeah, could, I talk to strangers all the time.
I love it.
And
I
so
love it.
and there is definitely a difference, and the way that they will how someone will open up to me when they're like, "I'm probably never going to see
Hmm.
this person again." So one thing I wanna touch on, and I may, piece this together with the business side. So, when I was, um when I was in my early 20s and I was working for a Fortune 500 company, I got pulled into my boss's office because I had been presenting something in front of like a boardroom
Hmm.
and was told that I smiled too much and that I was too cute and I will
Hmm.
never be taken seriously. And that stuck with, and it has, like, I was just in a coaching session recently and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the conversation that tripped me up. Like, it's still, I'm 20 years later having this in my head. And so tell me a little bit about your business journey as far as overcoming such things.
Oh man, I'm gonna tell you, it still hits recent. Like even the most recent thing is I posted something about a bear, and I had it. It was like the first time I actually had like I had a workout outfit on, and it was still modest and
Okay,
whatnot.
I know. I saw
You know
that.
what?
So yeah.
Okay, and I had this person reach out on from LinkedIn, and it's like, and this is inappropriate, so whatever. Sorry to your kids if they're listening to this. They're like, I saw your big old boobies bouncing on there. I was like, did you just send me this? Like, you had the audacity to say that to me and
Oh
not
my gosh.
hearing the underlying message of this. That
Right. No,
you,
I would not have. I mean, I got the message.
yeah, and it was just like, and I was like, and it was like short, like it was
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I was like, and but it's the thing is like still fighting that. I'm like, I am here. Like, I am working with the top people in the world, and I still have these comments. But now I don't care as much because like people know me for my brain and my science. But it's been hard to get here. It really has. And I also write about it in the book about being in predominantly male businesses, specifically in
Mhm.
sports, specifically in baseball. And do you think I've ever played baseball? No. So with that, it was very hard to go through. And it was something that actually I was even talking to one of my male counterparts the other day, and it's just on looks. And he's younger, but I will put him against anybody. That dude is one of the smartest humans on this planet. Like, he is a beautiful soul inside and out. And he's like, I wonder if they didn't hear me because of my age. I was like, oh no, sweetheart. I was like, you made them think. I said, it
Right.
has nothing to do with your looks. I said, you made them pause and think and be vulnerable for the first time. And so they're processing it. Because later, the person that he had encountered with came back to me and just talked about how awesome he was. But there's a two side of it too. It's like when we have stories like in the past where people would talk to you about your beauty or you smile or whatever and your looks. And also I did modeling for a while. And so
Mhm.
my performance was based on my looks. Worst idea ever. Like now that I like look back at it, I was like, it was awful because it's such a comparison curse.
Mhm.
And it makes it really can jack some of your mentality on it. But then through my work side of it, I have now just got to I'm me, that I don't want to work with anybody that if they can only see me for my looks or want to do. And I've had this. I've had three times. First, okay, if you're starting out a business and you are young and you have your like I radiate in energy,
Mhm.
and I say my mama did and daddy did good, and I have I I had three different scenarios, and I didn't see it in the beginning where people were offering me jobs, and I was like clients, new clients. I'm like, yes, let's go, and we would talk, and they knew how to talk enough to get the business like. But then after like the fourth or fifth or sixth week, um, they wanted to like go out and hang out later,
Okay.
or they want to do stuff later. And I'm like, oh no, like I just am happy and I'm helping you. And like, I'm not, but also the thing in the world of work that I do, it doesn't even matter like on looks too, is vulnerability.
Yeah.
Is like, it's also within the work I do allows for people to be vulnerable and they're feeling heard, seen, and valued for the first time.
Mhm.
So that adds another layer. And
And
so
being as I would say, even I was listening to a podcast as a single person,
yes.
just being kind and someone
Mhm.
experiencing that for the first time can be completely
Yeah.
misconstrued.
I literally told a guy the other day, actually he is in the last chapter and it's
Okay.
lawn mow guy. I was like, please do not mistake my kindness for flirtatious or anything else. I was like, I was sent something for his daughter to see. I was like, this is just for your daughter. I was like, I just want clarity as kindness. Here we are. I was like, I have no intentions
Yes.
at all. But it's also, here's the thing that I do now because this is so rampant and so real. Um, and I know because of vulnerability, people can be more attracted, and the energy that I put out, they can be more attracted. Um, I make anybody I coach with, especially if they're the opposite sex, they have to know. I have to know their wife. I have to know their significant. I'm like, they have to know about me. There,
Okay.
we do not hide. We don't hide it. The other thing I have had to do is like I'm not blind. And I get to work with some of the most gorgeous men in the world, and I ain't mad about it. However, I can't coach them.
Uh, yeah, okay, yes. I
I
like yeah,
can't.
yes,
And I can't coach them. I just know I can't. And so that's the reason I have a team. My team can do that. They can help within it. And if there's anything that might have some attraction to it, like I'm going to put a barrier in the way because this is not my work. This is God's work. And I will screw it up every time because, again, I'm a human and I'm single. And you're hot. Like, it's like, ah.
Yes.
I'm like, Matt, he's yours for the day. I'm like, I
This is
can't.
the same in hiring world as well. If I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm actually not going to make this decision. Someone else is going to, because I just like this person and I
yeah.
can't actually, my discernment has
Gone.
taken.
And that's the thing is knowing your discernment and knowing where it is and knowing your biases
Mhm.
and knowing your lived experiences because it will do an injustice to the other person. And it will also, for the work that I do, I talk with the top leaders and this has a trickle down effect. Shoot, what happened not too long ago with the Coldplay thing?
Oh gosh.
You know, like people like talk about it and laugh about it. I've seen it too many times. Like
Right.
I've seen it too many times. And I feel like my calling and my purpose is something I need to protect so hard that I just put the boundaries there. Like
Yes.
it's something that I'm huge on protecting boundaries. And also, even for my team, one of our core competencies that we do, and I even do this with my clients that I work with, if they're, we focus on silence, being able to learn to sit with silence, sit with yourself. We focus on motion, which is like moving, finding ways that you can move throughout the day. And then we also focus on marriage. So if you have a partner, because you possibly know as well as I do that whenever a divorce impacts performance and impacts time and effort that will continue from it. And
Yes.
so I'm like, y'all got to focus on your marriage. That like this is work, this is for here, but it's going to end one day and that person's going to be with you for life.
No, that's excellent. That is an excellent, excellent point. Yes. I couldn't even imagine the lack of product or the productivity thing, like things that happen as if someone's going through a divorce or preemptively. And
Hmm.
it's a long stretch of time.
Oh
Divorces
yeah,
don't just
I'm
happen.
3 years in. I got another court date in 2 weeks. Like
Yes.
it's still, like I'm legally divorced, been a year, but it's still coming. It's still coming at it. It's still each weekend the transitions and such that happen, and then navigating a legal system, navigating all these things, and it's and that's the beauty of the book is that we get to choose to be bitter or we get to choose to be better, and that's our choice. And that's my whole premise of this is I give the example of last week. My son no longer sees his father, but my daughter still has to go, and she encountered like heavy drinking. One person was so intoxicated they went into a ditch at the house. Like it's just these things. It's like this should not be 11-year-old's norm
Mhm.
at all. And and I don't want to sound bitter saying this all. It's more of like my brain is still trying to wrap around it.
Right.
But
You want to apply logic.
yeah, and I want to apply logic to it. But it's also like if it wasn't now her story, it would be kind of cool. And if the book was out and she could actually read like what is going to happen, she's going to see that she's literally living in chapter 12. Like my daughter saw the same thing that happened to me of the same pool, same time with kids,
Oh,
alcohol involved. And there was another woman that is not his wife that he was all over. Like, and it's just these patterns repeated. And that's the point of it, too, is like if you stay in bitterness, it's just your patterns are going to repeat. These insanity curses are going to keep happening. If you
based
don't,
on what someone else's patterns are. Yeah.
yeah, and they don't stop. Like, if the human that you or the partner that you're with has not worked through it, that's what I always tell if anybody's going to start a new relationship. I need to know that you've worked through it. Like, you have got to have done the steps
Yes.
to
I
make
was
sure
screaming last
that
night because I've just finished in that last chapter. My my children were like, "What is wrong with you?" And my daughter, we pulled in the driveway, and she's like, "I have a really bad stomach ache," and I was like, "Well, why didn't you tell me? I could have like stopped or what?" She was like, "You were screaming about that book. I was trying to tell you." When I was like, "What the heck is happening? Is she reading my journals? What is going on? Oh my gosh!" So yes,
yeah.
I
It's just so much. And it's just the thing is that, but the thing is, in your journals, at least you're leaning toward, like, I'm going to say, write it out. Me and God knows this bitter heart and how it can be.
mhm.
And it can be because there are things sometimes. I I can be so petty if I wanted to. Like, it would be like the most it okay, example. Again, last week he called me a controlling narcissist, but he spelled narcissist wrong. And I was like, it was so bad spelled. And it was like it was and I was like, man, I was like, I really want to tell him this. I really want to tell this. But then of course, because I know listen, and this is what I even write in the book, like I am not this like holier than thou person. It's moreover, I know court's coming too, that I have to also this additional accountability, which I'm grateful for.
Hmm.
And it has held me to a different standard. But also my kids have held me to a different standard. To now I know that I want to be held to that different standard. So I joked, I sent the screenshot straight to my lawyer. I'm like, I know you're gonna like this evidence. Here's what I really wanted to say. I was like, but I think that you'll love me more if I do it this way.
Yes. No,
um,
it's in me too. It is in me. But I've also had to apologize to my children as far as
oh yeah.
like when we all lived together, when I escalated versus de-escalated. Like there's a safety measure there that I had to prove my point. I had to
Mm-hmm,
be petty. I had to amp up and be a badass, and
mm-hmm.
it doesn't create freedom or safety or anything. It just
Yeah,
uh
and that's the thing is learning yourself through these times and what and I think that's it is too is from that better is learning you and becoming that better version daily and
mhm,
working towards understanding, reflecting from the past. Because me, I was not a perfect wife. I tried my best, but I'm not going to say that I was perfect along the way. There were moments, and I even write about it vulnerably in the book.
yes.
There was times where even in I even write a whole part of the chapter of where those guys that were hitting on me while getting like I like the attention
Mhm.
and I was like, okay, I like this. I like this. I was like, then it got, oh man, I'm really liking this. Oh wait, what's happening here? And I had to go to my husband at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm liking. And I guess the straw that broke the camel's back was like this 70-year-old man hit on me, and I was like, I'm even liking the 70-year-old
Yeah.
man. I was like, I can't anymore. Like I was like, there's some deep need that I am not being filled here.
Mhm.
And it goes back to like pulling back the layers of like where did I not feel heard, seen, or valued?
Right.
And that love was not coming through. And I was showing even bitterness towards it instead of going towards better.
So something it actually just dawned on me this morning, and I journaled about it. So that I think some people are just built for like what life is going to be thrown at them, or vice versa. It builds them. I don't know, but I I am in a season of calm
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of silence. And because even when you were talking like the house thing,
Mm-hmm.
in chapter 27, I, I there was a season of life of there was so much going on, and faith was being built in that. But it
Mm-hmm.
was I was getting clear direction, and there was another hurdle here, and things were popping all over the place, even though they were dramatic and not fun. But that that almost makes creates an energy of a high achiever or a high performer
Mm-hmm.
in that, and just knowing how to function in chaos and learning how to function in chaos. It is now in my body in this like where I'm not hearing directions as clearly, and where things are going very slowly, and it is calm. That feels very dangerous inside of my body right now. Like I am living if someone walked like was just doing life with me, they would think everything is fine. Like it all looks very fine, and it probably is. Probably is. But internally, I am churning. It feels
Mm-hmm.
very scary. Like like I'm living in that marriage. It because
Mm-hmm.
of it feels the same, even though nothing is
Yeah, it's
going.
hypervigilance. And it's what happens whenever we come out of and this is what I even say, like I usually put it to people that want to lose weight. Like you didn't get there in a day, you're not going to lose it in a day. It's the same thing within this. It's like I talk about it a little bit in the book, but it's our insula, in which I call like the weatherman of our body. It's just like there's a storm. There's a storm. I know there's a storm. There's a storm coming. There's always a storm. Where is the storm? I don't see the freaking storm. Like I'm
Yeah.
freaking out. I need the storm because I know how to put on my rain jacket. I know where to go in the storm and I know
Yeah.
what to do. But it's sunny and it's beautiful and I can just sit by my pool. And I don't know how to do that.
Yes.
And it's a lot of the things where humans we know to do more, to be more, is that, and like we know how, like this is our zone, like this is no, we know how to, and it's learning that how can we channel what we did learn in these seasons into our next season, but keeping it with that peace and that grace and that
Mhm.
calm that we want. But there is like the, I don't know, my brain is kind of going like, like you're out in the ocean and then like you're coming back and like the waves before you get on the beach, before the calm. It's like that transition period is what you're walking through. And now you can see the calm and it's actually calm around you, but you still have some of those waves hitting you. You still have some of that thing,
Mhm.
and it's internal, which also makes you feel crazy half the time because it's like, I should be grateful now, God. Like I should, and all that. It's one of the first ones I talk through is the should statements that we have in our brain
Mhm.
because that's what we do. It's like, I know I'm good, but it's still, we still have feelings. And another thing I talk about a lot, and my son actually came up with it, and it's called at least statements. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
cognitive, we call it, they're based on cognitive distortions, which is like a should statement, catastrophizing. Those are all actual cognitive distortions, but we call them cognitive dismissals. And whenever you say, well, at least at least I don't have to deal with my ex, or at least I don't have to deal with this hard, or like this boss that's toxic anymore. At least I don't have to do X, Y, or Z. You are minimizing what you went through. And so we accept what we went through, but we're staying committed to the new version of ourselves.
Okay.
And so what a lot of times people do is they just don't feel or remember, and they think they should already have this new set of feelings.
Mhm.
It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Okay. Yep. All right. Okay. So thank you for that. I needed that little mini counseling session. Um, so okay, chapter 16. Which
Okay.
okay, so the end of it. I'm looking for the word because I had written it down. It was something with attachment. Uh,
Oh, place attachment. When the stories start to divide.
yeah. So the aware. So I could not wrap my mind around that. Like when your identities are shifting.
Oh, moral injury.
And
Um,
then yeah, but you related it to a theory, and I swear I wrote it down somewhere in here.
it's actually ACT. What I was talking about earlier is the acceptance and commitment theory. And so what I talk about in that chapter is it is when I went. So my ex, and I'll always, whenever I talk about my ex, is that he is still a human. I still think he's a child. He's still a child of God, and he is just hurt people, and he's a wounded, hurt man. And so that's my one goal is that as people read through this, they can villainize him because he's did some stupid, stupid things. But yet through this too, there is also what we're going to be talking about is it's like the moral injury, and it's like yes, there was the multiple affairs and there's these other things, but what the and this is actually what I wrote is the role that once defined me had no clear expiration date, no ceremony, no closure, just the aching space in between. Too
Mhm.
married to be single, too disconnected to be married, too shattered to pretend, too loyal to let go. That kind of collapse has a name in the research world. It's called moral injury. And it's the psychological, emotional, and spiritual pain that comes when something violates our deepest values or identity framework. And so for me, that role was being the Christian wife. I had the scriptures in my heart, like it was in me, and like, and now for that one to
Mhm.
like taken away, like I had identified as this human. And it is the beauty that comes with what acceptance and commitment therapy teaches is that self as context. So idea that you are not your thoughts, your roles, your emotions, or even your beliefs. You are only observing them. So you're not your job. You're not the ring on your finger. You're not the shame that creeps in when it all falls apart. You are the awareness, the steady core beneath it all. And that's the big thing that I think was so like soul ripping for me.
Yes. No, I mean, there's 30 chapters and I could grasp all of them. And when I was on this one, I was like, I cannot, I, this is a mind explosion
It
for me.
is. It is because it's the two, because it's such deep work whenever you do it. Because then not only do the acceptance and commitment to figure out what do we actually want to accept, but then commit being forward, which for me was bitter to better. And then also there was another one of being walking priority and not being petty was another one that we really anchored around. Me and the children did. And then the next part is the relational framing theory. And basically, it's a part of the ACT, but it's like how we define ourselves and like how words shape our whole thinking. So,
Mhm.
and this is what I do a lot in the sports world. It's like, or you can also see this in the military world too. It's like
Mhm.
people don't describe their MLB sons as, hey, this is John. This is the Pittsburgh Pirates lead pitcher. Like that's how it's usually led out with instead of like the human and the identity of like, I am a wife, I am a mother, I am. What if we strip all that away? What is it that you actually like? For me, and this is what I always have my kids do, is if anybody asks them what they want to do whenever they grow up, I make them shift it to what they want to be. They're like, just a kind human,
Oh,
just a kind human. And that's for me is like, for me, I want to be a kind human. And then within our mission statement within Workzbe, it's to create a space for accountability, connection, and life impacting results, not for here and now, but for 7 generations to come. So I want to have a generational impact, not a check a box. I want to,
Mhm.
I love that you had like the mind blown. That's what I want because I think that those transformational shifts can help people understand and see. It's like they got almost like their own new like PhD and get to see a life through a whole nother lens by learning some of the frameworks of like how our body is designed and how it's like wired to think. Because it's like, oh, I just was a human experiencing life. And here's why.
Yes. No, and I guess probably it's so ingrained from like birth, culture, family, all like that's why it's any core beliefs. Those are the hardest to like.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true? Can I really believe this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I so okay along those same lines as with walk walk me through a little bit of because I've had the instances um where like and I don't want to give this away. I want people to like read this and feel this experience. But with the house and knowing that you were supposed to go that route. Um and then not having another house.
Mm.
It's like so what did that feel like? Did you question whether you actually heard the no? Or
Oh, I question it all. There, anytime, like, I question God all the time, and I think that He's so good at taking my questions. So this is actually the house that, um,
right, yeah, I figured, yeah.
and so within it, just to give the audience a little, I was supposed to have another house, and while my parents were signing, because there's some things that the divorce wasn't final, so there's some extras around the way. But while my parents were signing the contract for the house, I was actually at a concert. It was a Christian concert, and I got this overwhelming no, no, not this house, not this house. I'm like, and me, I'm audibly like arguing with God, but luckily everybody's like doing praise and worship, so they're like they don't know that this is a crazy woman like over here doing But I looked at my sister-in-law who I was with. I said, I can't buy the house. She's like, what? I said, I can't buy the house. God said no. She goes, it's a no. And so it was the thing that I called my mother right away, and I love her. And I don't put this in the book, but it's I love her best friend, and she's just hilarious and just southern. And she's like, "Are you sure?" She's like, and she said, "I really want to pee in your pool." And I was like, "Girl, you ain't peeing in my pool, okay?" And I was like, "God told me no." I was like, "God might give you another pool to pee in." And so, but it was in that aspect of like they questioned, and my family questioned was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I'm like, I know without a shadow of a doubt. And let me tell you, this has only happened a few times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not every time. And there's a beautiful book, if you are of faith, it's called Created to Hear God. I cannot remember who the author is, but it is a beautiful book. And within it, it talks about the 4 different types that people hear. So there's some that's audible, there's some people that can feel it, there's some people that just know it, and then there's some people that can see it. If you read the book, you'll realize that I have aphantasia, which means I can't see pictures in my brain.
Oh, right. I
Um,
know. Yeah, that was wild.
yeah.
All my kids, and we'll get back on track here. They're all like, "Oh, can't let me think. Can I see that?" Like they're all trying to like, is this me too? I don't know.
Hey, little squirrel. My best friend even called me, and she's like, she's listening to the book. She goes, I have so many questions now. I knew that you were my best friend, and I knew that I could call you and ask you questions about your brain, but like, I'm really seeing how much of an advantage it is that I can actually call you and ask you about these things. I was like, girl, you can call me
Oh
anytime.
yeah, no, I guess that is true. That is true. Yes.
But all that to say is within the house and hearing, I would really recommend that book. And but I actually had not even read it then, but it was just this audible, and like I knew, and I was so grateful. And this is the reason why you have to surround yourself with people that can understand, and not what is seen as crazy is in one season will be seen as faith in another. I learned that from Mike
Mhm.
Todd,
Oh
Transformation
yes.
Church,
Oh.
and
Mhm.
I have leaned on that so hardcore because this house is an absolute miracle. You can read the book about it, just but it is like you can't. For me, it's like one of those like you can't say there's not a God. Like there's too many coincidence in this way of how I got this house, and just the beautiful stories that came from it. Even as much as the grandfather clock that is
Mhm.
my great uncles that was, and I don't even think I write about it in the book. I actually messaged them not too long ago, and come to find out that clock was actually like 4 hours away at their grandparents' house. And when she was moving into her, I guess, retirement home or whatever, that was or whenever she passed away, that clock was left to them.
Oh.
And it's all because the guy that originally owned this house used to always fix it. It's like,
Oh.
yeah. And
Wow.
so all the people that don't understand, read the book, and then you're going to figure
Yeah,
out
no,
like,
no,
oh,
you no, I will be handing this book out like candy. I totally. I have never. I mean, I've read incredible stories. Like I've read, there's C.S. Lewis, there's Elizabeth,
Mhm.
there's but just imagine if they
Mhm.
had gone into the all the stuff that you went into, like the
Mhm.
behind the scenes, like ripping the body open, and this is what is exactly happening
Here we
as
are.
you're going through this. Like it is, uh, yeah, it's something else. Um, okay, so where were you living after you said no to that?
I still was at the other house. So
Okay.
I was still at the farmhouse. And so the big part about in a divorce is there's so many things they don't tell you about a divorce. Like even from like the simple things of like what is contested versus uncontested means. And like if you hear the word uncontested, just remember, just know that your life is about to be like dismantled in every direction, in every ugly way, most likely possible. And you're going to go to court for it. And you're going to spend a lot of money on it. Um, and just divorce in general is like putting everything that you own in a box and shaking it up and just putting it out and like, oh, what do you want? What do you want? Like it's so logical, but yet it's such a death in itself. And
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah,
death
it I it
you
it
can't mourn it.
the terms, like the different terms that we use, like rape, molestation, abortion, divorce, none of
Mhm.
them encompass what is actually there, and
No.
it creates a compassion, I think, that you can't get from any other experience.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like I've heard some people like you talk about being divorced like it's a pride thing. I was like, no, girl, like I am all like I, God get like I went through this story. I want to tell you, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but I am not talking about divorce and promoting it. I promote marriages staying together. I promote like
Yes,
you
no.
trying the
I
Lord's
didn't see any
help.
promotion.
I promote every bit of learning, but that wasn't my story. And I even talk about in the book that I had to have a preacher that basically tell me that, like, no, like you didn't, like they broke the covenant, like you can release now,
Mhm.
because I felt like such a scarlet letter
Oh,
of the
yeah.
divorce aspect of it. Saying that, it is, it's a very traumatic event. Like I like mine was very traumatic. I hope not everybody's is like that. But it's still, even if it's not even to even the nth of the degree of what mine has went through, it still transitions. It's still hearing like if they do start having another partner, like then that comparison, or what
Mhm.
if that partner, like then the kids start saying stepmom or like, and
Oh,
how
yeah.
that, like there's so many like no, I'm the mom, like did it, it's like all these framing things that go back to a relational framing theory that happen within the body, while you're still supposed to show up at work. You're still supposed to show up to your friends. You're still supposed to show up at church. You're supposed to show up everywhere as if like the world is like your world is fine. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that I want to break down. And I hope in the book that it's like you get to feel, you get to cry, but have your community. Like
Mhm.
with that timing that I had been actually did a exercise in my after a therapy session. And it was like wise people bef- before my divorce and wise people after my divorce. And it was like I had nobody before. Like I had maybe one or two, and it like I could talk about certain subjects, and it was my family.
Right.
After the divorce, the wise unit that I have around me, this system that I have around me, to one, make sure I don't do stupid mistakes because not yet, I'm still a human. And two, just for to cheer me on, because you need people in your corner, but also that you cannot feel, you don't feel crazy with, because when this mysterious human tells you no or whatever, like deity tells you no, and then you stop a whole entire sale of a house on it,
Mhm.
and then you got to go tell your realtor that you don't even know if it's of faith or not,
Right.
and then
And then that's it. It doesn't, like, to me, I'd be like, okay, well, within 48 hours, God has that next, he's gonna let you know what
oh,
is the next thing. But you waited.
oh, I wish it was 48 hours. And that's where I question it. It was, and that's just how God's always been with me. I'm like, God, like, can we speed these things up? Like, I would love everything sped up. But that's not his timing. And I've learned the lessons, and y'all got the
Mhm.
chapters from it. But it was what, that was May, June, July, August, or it was almost 2 months, 2.5 months later before I this house came on market. But the thing is that my realtor and my parents are like, it's going to come in God's timing. It's going to come in God's timing. Like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And that's how I leaned in on it. It's just like, and I will be honest, and I told this to a friend the other day. Anxiety's never been my huge thing. I'm not a very anxious person, and so we usually describe anxiety as looking forward, depression going back.
Right. Right.
And so for me, mine's been depression. Like I can in the past, like reflecting on and just like the should statements or what if statements, and so this had the opportunity to really put me in a depressive state because I was moving forward, looking at the back and being like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? But because of the wiring of the brain, because of my insula, because I had the weatherman had, now I predict God moments. Like that's my weather prediction. is that like God's going to show up. I don't know how, when, or where, but God, it's going to happen. And because I've seen it time and time and time and time and time again, that is the reason why I could wait. Now, did I do it perfectly? No. But, and I actually, recently, God's been my word of the year's peace for this year. And God's been telling me to patiently pursue peace. And I added without annoyance. Because I get so annoyed at God. I'm like, can we hurry it up? And so I don't want anybody to think that like, yeah, my insula is trained, but my amygdala is still based off urgency and pain.
Yes.
So I got to fight the two at the same time. This is what I pray for now is it's peace and purity. I want the purity to stay in this house.
Okay.
Because if you've ever been through a tumultuous like hell version, I don't want to know what hell is because that was pretty dang bad.
Yeah.
And I know that it doesn't even fall in comparison. But to be in this contentment and this calm and the peace that I am now in, and yes, I am blessed for this house. But that true home, and figuring that out is something that I've wrestled with a lot lately too, because like let's be real, the pool's starting to like I'm trying to figure out the pool now, and I messed it up and messed some other things, or like I just got a green-in porch, and like the house, it's still a house, but as I still reflect on it, this is a home. This is a home because I'm out here talking to you instead of in my place that's supposed to be office because it's actually a craft room. Because guess what? And this is the other thing whenever you get in your new house, like the craziness of this is so bad. This is how redneck I am. So this is going to sound so Southern. But I remember that I was actually at that other house, and it was the first time like realizing that I can do things.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a coyote on the side of like running throughout like our property, and it was out, and there was a chicken, and my daughter had the chicken, and we go and like we're in my bedroom like looking at, and I'm like, I can have a chicken in my house. And I was just like, I can have a chicken in my house, like
Oh, right.
nobody's gonna yell at me. I can have a chicken in my house. And I was like, kids, we can have a chicken in our house. And we just started jumping on the bed with the chicken in our hands, saying,
Yes.
we can have a chicken in our house.
Yes, I completely get that. Oh gosh. I totally. Oh yes.
But
Totally
it's
get
the home base there, and it's where they can feel safe, seen, they can laugh, they can do like they can have that fun stuff in it. And even in that house that I was in then, I could start making a home. I could start it there. So then whenever I came here, I truly get to I know what I want, and I know what I want to create. And it is laughter. It is fun. We measure it by the moments that we have. My house is a wreck inside right now, but I don't care because I usually have my four nieces here, so it's like six kids all the time.
right.
I love it.
Yeah. Yes, that makes sense. And you're not the first person to say something similar to me. And I think there is a block here because I am not fully engaged with my circumstances
Mhm.
right now. And
Well, and physiologically, it's sometimes hard to do because you're trying to strategize for the future, but also like for me, I actually was talking to somebody and they were talking about having like, like an 80-20 rule. Let's keep some bad habits. I'm like, nah, like I'm not for keeping bad habits. If I know about them, I want to work on them. That's
right.
just my natural tendencies. And I was like, I don't know a bad habit I have. And I'm like, but I know I have a bad habit. So it's me like self-awareness, like overdrive. And then it was that night I had my ex had done stupid stuff. And then this guy was just wanting to talk, like chat and like try to give me some affirmation, like it's okay. And I just shut down. And the thing is I also think that some things that we go through is that our natural tendency is just to shut down because we don't want to think about it. Because that might happen with you too. And like I'm 3 years out, 1 year post divorce, And there is my natural tendency sometimes is just to shut down. Because I knew too, if I shut down, I wouldn't have to deal with a fight. If I just gave in, I
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
have to deal with the next step. If I just like, and then also the pain that our amygdala is signaling off of like, I know I have to address this, but I know if I address this, this means I'm actually going to have to do something with it.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
And it, for me, it's like, sometimes I'm like, God, I don't want to. Like, do you not see all I did? Like, I feel
Yeah,
like Job.
yeah.
Like,
We paid our dues. Really? This is how.
I'm like, when do I have to, like, when do I get a pause?
Yes.
And then let's be real, like what you did, I had my, like, I remember writing in my journal about my first boring day and the hypervigilance on my first boring day. And I'm like, okay, God, I didn't know how to handle
Yes.
that boring day
No.
at all.
Yep, yep, yep. No, yeah, your book has made me like go back and look for more messages in my own journey, and I know we're gonna. My stomach is even telling me we need to wrap up here soon. Um, but and what you said is like one thing looks crazy because
Hmm.
I am selling my house without a destination.
Hmm.
I'm doing it out of obedience,
Hmm.
and from all practical purposes, I should just stay here, and I should
Hmm.
also just go get a 9 to 5 job, and I'm homeschooling my children. I should just send them to school. Like there's all these things that make a lot more logical sense. But I'm counting on
Yeah.
it being a faith season looking back. I mean, I know it is, but
But
as
it feels crazy. It
yeah.
does. It legit. I remember I actually did this in business, and my team, they now know it. I'm like, you don't. Not everybody that works for me is of faith either, but they just know it's Emily's thing. It's Emily's God. Just it works. I did this actually with my Y summit. My first time ever I did a summit, and I was like, I don't know why I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know I'm supposed to do a Y summit. It's like this year. I know it's wise content and wise assessment. I did my book because of the why. I knew that I just know that. I don't know what's next. I just know those were the two things I was supposed to focus on. And so I have.
You put together the wise assignment not knowing where you were gonna go with it?
Uh-uh. No. No. Like none of my stuff I've ever like if God just tells me do it and I'm like, okay, let's go.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's even like the book. Like I look back and I was like, okay, I know wise content. I know I'm supposed to be right. Like, and I've been writing for years and years, and I was like, and then there's certain little things along the way that I have written in on my notes, and I follow in obedience, and I've never regretted following in obedience
No,
ever.
no, and I haven't either. This has just been the longest stretch that I have been in a waiting season based on promises to the point I was like, let's just maybe just next time don't tell me the promises. Like I know I've asked for information in the past.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I just don't want to know because it is hard to ground myself in the here and now if I'm believing. But I've also noticed if I focus on the belief while I'm in the here and now versus how it comes to fruition, then I
Hmm.
stay sane and functioning and awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like wisdom needs execute with excellence. Like just keep working at the habits, keep working in the things, and like it's what I. That's why those three core competency. I know that sitting in silence. I know working within community or that motion
Mhm.
side of it is big for me. And then I'm not in marriage, but still having that community around me and having some of those, like, I know those things work. And they're called leading indicators. And I focus more on the leading indicators. What is the thing, if I do every day, that I can predict success will happen versus understanding what may come with it? Even doing in business, this is probably one of the best advices I can give out to people is just keep executing with excellence daily and what you know that you're supposed to be doing
Mhm.
and then let it grow. Because if I would have just kept the lagging indicators or the mindset, I'd just be doing wellness programs.
Right, 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 right.
I would have not written a book. I would have not be speaking on stages. I would not I would not be in sports. I would not be in the rooms that I've been able to enter in. But because of the slow grow, the slow work, and the persistency of it, I am where I am. So just focus on what you can do daily.
Yeah. That helped. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. The
Mhm.
book and then the follow up. Yes. Yeah. That and I. So where, when is the book coming out? So and I know I have to send in my notes from the being on the pre reading thing. I'm going to do that this weekend. Where, when, and how, and
So we're working on
pre-order.
a pre-read right now. That is going to be launched around October 15th. And then the book is going to be out. It's supposed to be out November 1st. Yep. So we're getting it
Oh
out.
wow.
We're getting it out soon.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And then anywhere you can buy
And
it.
it's going to be anywhere. We're going to be on Amazon, but it's also, we are going to, people smarter than me are putting it in other areas. So it's supposed to be everywhere.
Okay.
um,
And
but I'm
how long did it take you? How long? Because when you were telling me the ages of your children, so you were finished. The last few chapters were super recent.
super recent. Yeah. So I wrote the book. I wrote it between February to May, June. So that's whenever I wrote the book of this year.
You wrote all of that from February to May, and
Yeah.
you're dyslexic.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so it's just whenever I get on a kick, I'll just go with it. And I joke too. I was like, "Well, I'm starting my PhD. I think it's just good practice for my PhD." Um,
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. I know. So I think we're challenges. More challenging season actually makes me more
mhm.
productive.
Oh,
So, and if it's like, oh, people think I'm dyslexic, so I'm not going to be able to.
yeah.
Then I'm even more fueled at that
Oh,
point. And I also tend to have two speeds, like it's
yeah.
either full throttle or exhausted and out for the count. So
Yeah.
I understand that, but you've truly inspired me, and like I said, taken me down, and even while my kids were listening on
Mhm,
uh, in the car, seeing those things in a parental perspective, and
mhm,
even like reliving some things for them, and not and in a good way, in a way of like, let's talk about this now from this vantage point, and let's look at it
mhm,
from a better standpoint and not a bitter standpoint. And so
mhm,
it's all been good. And I mean, if the uh if there was something along the lines, and you and I were talking about kids and support
mhm,
groups and things like that, but if there were a way for kids to put together kind of a survival handbook or something
mhm.
along those lines, I think
Yeah,
I
and
would
that's the
be
thing
fantastic.
is there's also legalities in it. So like in my book, I can't let the kids hear all the chapters because of legalities, but I can let them hear some. And that's my thing for them is that they get to know the stories. And even my nieces, they're like, "That's your voice, Auntie M."
Right, yes.
And they like to listen to it. And I've just been very vocal about a lot of my stories along the way because I want them to learn from that. But that's the thing is like if the generations can just keep passing the stories down and keep learning from one another, I think the world will continue to be a better, more beautiful place.
Okay, so all right, I just had a question, and
Mhm,
because I've contemplated on this because my kids have asked me like about my regrets,
mhm,
as far at, I mean, obviously I have them, so I wouldn't change anything, but I do know what I would have done differently in the
mhm.
process of um, the relationship before the marriage. Do you what would you advise your children or someone in a dating season of life? Like
Um,
what would you look
you
at in
cannot date out of a wound. You cannot date out of a wound. And if you need that person, you need to figure out yourself more.
all right.
You can't date out of a wound. And that's what I think I know I did. And because somebody's asked me like how did you and they had a similar story like how did we end up here. I was like I can tell you how I ended up here. I said, I didn't love myself. It's just these wounds kept stacking and stacking and stacking, and I never addressed them. And so my love and my affection was towards men and finding men and chasing the pursuit of the men. If you want to know what my next book is, it's about the chase, and it is the fact that it's don't change the chase. And I know that my next
So
book,
it's like,
what my did is I changed my chase from God. Like now I know that my chase is God. My chase then at a young age was men for validation. That's where my oxytocin was coming from. That's where I was getting the dopamine. I was getting all these things because, oh, I'm a pretty girl, that somebody's going to say, oh, you're pretty. And I'm going to lean into that one a little bit more. And then I'm going to go into modeling. And then everybody's going to like me on my looks. And so my whole worldview is based on my looks instead of my heart. But I didn't know that that wound after that wound after that wound had never been healed. And I'm just digging deeper, deeper, deeper. And I didn't love myself because I couldn't love myself. Because all I did was see myself as a slut and a whore. That's literally how I had named myself. And I even talk about in the book that my preacher had gave me Psalms.
oh gosh,
One prayer. And I listened to it the other day and I was like, I feel like I got a few feelings. I should feel like a little bit this way, but I just labeled it the slut prayer. And it just continued, like as we talked about relational framing theory, that theory just was all that I could see. And I could only get the attention based on my looks. And I knew it was the easiest way and the quickest way. And I got money, I got everything that I thought I would want. So if you are dating out of a wound, if you like examine like who you want, like for me, it's a faith thing. So I'm not changing my chase from God. Like if a man wants to be with me, he needs to pursue God so much that then he finds me through it.
Yes.
And so that's how I've learned, because I love myself. I know myself. I am proud of who I am. I'm proud of what I came through. And some people are like, that might be cocky. I'm like, no, like that's a testimony. That's how my mess is now a message. Like that is where I am at. But again, and I talk to this about my kids, like don't date out of a wound. I guess the other one is don't base it off of a checkbox of if he's 6 foot tall, hot, has abs. Because I even did this last chapter. I talk about my checkerbox guy. Man is beautiful. Everything in it. But he didn't love the Lord. And we tried, but it didn't work. And so understanding what you need to love and how they show love to you and your core values. So you got to know you before you go to somebody else.
So is that book along the lines of dating, or what is the premise?
Yeah, well, I don't know, like, because I also see this in work, because like don't change your chase in work. So it's going to be the same thing at home, work, and play on.
Okay.
Don't so about changing the chase and going from like prophets and looking, and then from hot men looking.
Okay. Okay.
God.
I see that. Okay. All right. Okay. I would love to sign up to be on the pre-reading.
I gotta get a few more chapters in. I know the chapters right now.
Right, so. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm so excited for this, and thank you so much for taking the time to have the conversation. And I mean, we may be neighbors one day. I'd love to head up to North Georgia.
Come on over. There's a house for sale over here.
Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thanks, Julie. It's been awesome.